To talk more about the Titans, we bring in Travis Haney from The Athletic. Titans coverage for the site began on Monday. So first off, Trav, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Nice to be back with you in studio, Steve.
Absolutely. Great to have you. Now, you were in Pittsburgh for the game yesterday. Tell me, was Marcus Mariota as bad in person as he appeared to be on TV for fans? And how big of a concern is that?
I would say yes and no. I think it was collectively all of the offense, but there were certainly moments in the game where you need your quarterback to be accurate. And that first third down that he misses Corey Davis, and maybe it was some miscommunication. Davis said it was his fault. Marcus said it was his fault. Vrabel on Sunday said it was his fault. So maybe there's a little bit of blame to share there. But the bottom line is, if there's a guy open, at some point your quarterback's got to hit him. And a couple of misses, I would say, and then a really bad, almost inexplicable decision on the scramble that turned into an interception.
Good news on Sunday, though. We learned that Rishard Matthews is coming off the PUP list. What does the addition of the team's best receiver the last 2 years mean for the rest of that receiving core?
Well, and I don't think we're making an excuse for the offense, but if you want to say something about Marcus and his rhythm or communication, he's lost some kind of safety nets that he's had typically. Rishard Matthews had 118 catches the last 2 years combined. Delaney Walker, who's been missing for about a week and a half, had 139. Those are dependable, reliable targets. We talk about third down. Both of those players factor in pretty heavily on third downs. So don't quite hit that panic button just yet.
Mike Vrabel also wanted to see that running game on Saturday. Got 8 carries and 23 yards from Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis. They say they're still trying to figure out roles. What are the perfect roles for those guys in your mind?
Yeah, I think you have to establish kind of maybe the matchup. And to me, Dion Lewis has stood out because he gives matchup problems. He's sort of a fit for opposing defenses to have to deal with. How good he can be in the pass game. And he's sneaky, I think, Steve, in terms of breaking tackles, even between the tackles. So I think he's someone who maybe becomes a little bit more of a focal point, especially considering some of those recurring pass protection issues for Derrick Henry.
Defensively, 1 touchdown allowed by the starters against Big Ben and company. How good can this defense be if, and this is a big if now, they can stay healthy?
Yeah, I think health is the main factor right now for that defense. And if you look at that outside linebacker position that was already down to Derek Morgan, already down to Brian Orakpo, really couldn't afford the loss of Harold Landry, the second-round pick in that Game 3. But overall, they've been healthy up front, knock on wood, and they have enough depth in the secondary that even the temporary loss of Malcolm Butler, the long-term loss of Jonathan Cyprien, I think you still feel pretty good that the defense is going to wind up being a little bit more consistent out of the gate than what we've seen from the offense.
It is a long list of injuries. Look at all those. A lot of big names up there right now as well. Some of them we know when they're coming back, others not so much. How big of a concern is this 2 weeks out now from regular season opener?
Yeah, I think the word for me, Steve, is disruptive. I think all these injuries, you look at all the different positions, this has been disruptive for the team during the course of camp. That you have a new staff. Yes, they had time with them in the spring and summer, but really during camp is when you'd want to see just kind of a chemistry, a little bit of a rhythm and flow that's been disrupted on both sides of the ball. You know, a lot of these guys are going to be back in the next couple of weeks, but at the same time, we haven't seen a real fluid top 11 on either side of the ball.
Of course, John Robinson and Mike Vrabel have to sort through all that and put together the final 53-man roster by Saturday. Lots of tough decisions to make. I'm going to do some of it for him here. I've got the locks on the offensive side of the ball up there in white. A bunch of guys down here in yellow fighting for jobs this week. Who are some of the guys to watch in your mind? Well,
I think Wadley being hurt for Game 3 in Pittsburgh was key. He was somebody, if they were going to carry 4 running backs, he would have been the guy there. If he's dinged up, I'm not sure that they can go that route. Nick Williams, who wound up hurting his hamstring against Pittsburgh, I thought he was a lock just based on what he'd done in terms of special teams, consistency from a slot standpoint. Darius Jennings, I would look at him in the lens of Rishard Matthews. If Matthews can get up to speed in the next 2 weeks, maybe you don't keep him. Luke Stocker, I think you can move up to that white. You saw him in the H-back type position and literally the first play of the game in Pittsburgh. And then I think this is a tough group to handicap. I would add one more name here. Corey Levin, I think, as the backup center, has been very good during this camp, maybe as good as anybody in terms of improving stock in August. Beyond that, I think it's tough to really know who out of this group will emerge. So maybe big for them on Thursday to get those reps and see if anybody can separate.
What about defensively? Same deal. Who are the guys to watch for to fill out that side of the ball? And special teams, of course, very important. Do we start with the Spillane train, our guy Robert Spillane?
There's some momentum for this guy. In the locker room, teammates love him. A rookie tryout back in the spring is what landed him a spot in camp. And now he just keeps performing with that takeaway interception. Called his shot to Coach Vrabel earlier in the day. Said he was going to get an interception, and he sure did. I don't know that he makes the team. I think Thursday is a huge date for him. We already talked about outside linebacker. You know, those top two guys have been missing for a while, and that's probably going to linger at least into the season in Morgan's case. So Sharif Finch, I think, moves up into that white area. And even Josh Carraway, I think he moves up just out of the need. Does that create issues for someone like Spillane? I think it becomes obviously an accounting game at some point for John Robinson.
Speaking of that game, assuming all three specialists are set, we've got 40 locks up there in white, meaning there are 13 roster spots up for grabs for the 50 remaining guys. Lots on the line on Thursday night. Travis Haney, thanks for the time. Congrats on the gig again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.